I'm not back yet. I'm not back. But this mofo right here, this mofo right here, I've got a few things to say. Let's start with what he said in this clip.
Because if you are extremely vague and generic and say some of the right words without specifically committing to policies or being very clear about what your values are, human beings will simply project onto you what they want to see. Progressives will see her as extremely progressive and forward thinking. More moderate voters will see her as somebody that's a little bit more measured, and you can kind of see reasoning behind why they're doing it. I don't think it's completely stupid, but I think it is doomed to fail because although it is working in the short term, she's going to eventually be put into scenarios like debates where she will be forced to take firm stances on topics, and because she hasn't done that intellectual work to decide where she really lands on these important issues, she may end up looking unqualified for the job.
Intellectual work. He said she hasn't done the intellectual work. Why would he think that Kamala Harris, a black woman, hasn't done any intellectual work to be president of the United States? It's an assumption, and it's an assumption based on her blackness and her gender. And it's a statement that he has made out of ignorance. With all of the tools that we have at our disposal in 2024, ChatGPT, Google, there's so many different avenues where you can Google, research to find the intellectual work that Kamala Harris has done that has gotten her to where she is today. Just a modicum, a small amount of research will let you know that she is a graduate. She has graduated from one of the most prestigious HBCUs here in the United States. She graduated from Harvard University with a bachelor's degree in political science and economics. She then went on to the University of California, where she's got her Juris Doctorate, and she has passed the bar exam. That's just her education. From there, we can talk about the elected positions that she has held for the past, I don't know how many decades. She served as district attorney in San Francisco, and I believe she was the first black female district attorney to serve in San Francisco. From there, Kamala Harris went on to serve as the Attorney General for the state of California. And I believe she was the first black and South Asian female to serve in that position. From there, she went on to serve as a senator for the state of California. And from there, she was elected into her current position, which is Madam Vice President of the United States. So why, with all of her experience and her education, does this white man from Canada believe that Kamala Harris has not put in any intellectual work? Oh, but wait, he goes on to say this.
So the next issue with the blank slate strategy is the only reason it's even remotely effective is specifically because she is solely relying on identity politics. And although I completely understand and respect the excitement associated with nominating the first woman president, the first black woman president, the first South Asian American black woman president, and that's something that is exciting and something that will understandably galvanize a certain demographic of the population that will vote for her solely based on that alone.
That certain demographic of people that he's speaking of in that little snippet where they would only vote for Kamala Harris based on her identity, that demographic he's speaking of is black and brown people. You see, he, like many other racist white people, believe that black people only vote for candidates because they're black, which insinuates that black people and people of color are too stupid to understand or be tuned in to the different policies that govern this nation. In addition to that, he stands firm in his confidence in trying to project that Kamala Harris has no policy agenda, has no policy ideas. And he is so confident in that ignorance that he got up on TikTok and tried to spew that nonsense as if we were going to digest it well. Well, that confidence in his ignorance has truly backfired on him. He's being dragged all over TikTok, all over Twitter because of his confidence in his ignorance. I mean, clearly, we are seeing Kamala Harris going from state to state to state to state, pushing her policy ideas and her policy agenda. She's talking about her policy agenda when it comes to criminal justice reform and her wanting or needing the abolishment of private prisons and legalizing marijuana and trying to expunge marijuana convictions, right? She's talking about this out there on the campaign trail. She's talking about her policy agenda and ideas on health care, specifically Obamacare, and how she's going to protect Medicare and Social Security. She's talking about climate change and how she supported the Green New Deal, which would allow for clean energy and reduce carbon emissions and hold other polluters out there accountable. She's talking about her economic policy, her agenda, what she wants to do when it comes to providing $25,000 to first-time home buyers in grant funding, and how she wants to increase minimum wage, how she wants to crack down on price gouging. She did a whole campaign rally just talking about her economic policies. She's talked about gun control and how she wants to implement policy and law to protect our children who are just going to school to get an education, to protect them from being gunned down while in class. She's talked about her support for universal background checks and red flag laws and the ban on assault rifles. She's talked about her policy ideas for immigration and how she would support a border bill and how she would support the DACA children living here in the United States. She's talked about all of this. She's talked about protecting reproductive rights and voting rights and LGBTQIA plus rights. She's talked about protecting education and stopping these book bannings all across the country. And Black people have been listening to her talk about her policy agenda and her policy ideas and what she plans to do when she gets into office. And yet this white Canadian man hopped up on his platform here on TikTok to insinuate that Black and brown people will be voting for Kamala Harris because she's a Black woman. Yeah, he deserves all of the dragging that he's getting. I'm not back. I'm going back on hiatus. Because, of course, there's an apology.
So I wanted to come on here and address a previous video that I posted, a video that has now been deleted for obvious reasons because it completely missed the mark in every single possible way. And the reason why that video was so poorly received is purely because of me. It was poorly researched, it was poorly articulated, and the reaction is now completely understandable. And there are some specific things that I wanted to correct because I'm not going to just delete the video and move on when it did upset people. And when I'm constantly talking about accountability, I'm going to hold myself accountable as well. So the first thing that I said in that video that I'm so disappointed in myself for saying is I said that Kamala Harris's campaign is mostly centered around identity politics, particularly her identity as being the first woman president. And the reason now why that was such a stupid comment is that it is factually wrong.
Yeah, I'm good. That video is 9 minutes long. I don't have the energy or the patience to listen to yet another white man try to explain away their anti-Blackness, their racism, their misogynoir. If he offers an apology to Kamala Harris, to the Black community as a whole, I represent the Black community. I'm a part of the Black community. Yeah, I don't accept it. Because in 2024, There is too much information available to us at our fingertips. And if you can't take a small amount of time to do a small amount of research to back up what you're putting out on the internet, then it's intentional. I see it as him intentionally trying to denigrate and diminish Kamala Harris's intellectual work that she has done. I see him as purposely insulting Black Americans and diminishing them to the status of only voting for candidates because they're Black. Yeah, I don't accept the apology, but you all can do with the apology as you see fit.